Good evening and welcome to JoyNews Prime. We're coming to you live from our studios here at Kokumlemle. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125 and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Tonight, Speaker of Parliament Alban Babing rejects the minority's charge to block the vetting of Chief Justice nominee Baffoe-Bonnie, paving way for his appointment with the vetting committee on November 10, 2025. Also tonight, Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, SML, dismisses claims of political patronage and describes the Office of the Special Prosecutor's allegations against the company as baseless. Also tonight, cracks emerging in the Labour front as senior staff leadership fires back at a breakaway group, accusing them of spreading falsehood about the 2026 base pay negotiations. And in business, economist urges government to maintain its fiscal discipline as it prepares to prevent and present the budget, with specific focus on improving the agricultural sector.
Set by the IMF, the target that we've set for ourselves from 2023 through the IMF program, even if the program ends, we should not change the target. We should continue with the fiscal target, the primary.
And at 8:30, we'll bring you Prime Sports.
We'll bring you an exclusive interview with Black Stars video analyst Chris Baffoe.
We are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Thanks for choosing us. Ms. Faustina Safa, I appreciate your company. Tonight, Speaker of Parliament Alban Babing has overruled the minority's objection to the vetting of Chief Justice nominee Baffoe-Bonnie, paving way for Monday's proceedings. Minority Leader Alexander Fayomarkin argued that the vetting should be halted due to a pending court case, citing parliamentary precedent.
In coming with a business statement, invite us to accept as part of the business statement the vetting of the nominee on Monday the 10th of November. When he is aware that the ECOWAS court has scheduled the 18th of November for the ruling in the matter brought before it. What does this House want to hurry to? Why are we in a haste? To render the outcome of the case nugatory, otious, to deny the woman, the Chief Justice of the Republic, her right to occupy her office. Public knowledge that the learned Attorney General has so far even refused to file a defense in the matters at the Supreme Court. It was only last week that he filed a motion for leave to file for extension of time to file. Mr. Speaker, all these are happening in this country, a country of rule of law, and Parliament would want to shut its eyes on this. Mr. Speaker, in any event, the man empowered with the mandate to empanel the court is himself the very person who has been nominated. And so far, whereas he was in a hurry to empanel the court to hear the injunction applications, none has happened in any of the 6 cases.
However, Majority Leader Mahama Ayariga countered that Parliament must be allowed to complete its work before the Supreme Court can intervene. Should a constitutional issue arise, Ayariga emphasized that the Supreme Court cannot intervene until Parliament finishes its process, after which the court can assess the constitutionality of the vetting outcome.
You are saying that a referral that has been made by the Speaker to a committee of this House to exercise a function that constitutionally is within the province of that committee, because the Constitution is clear that there shall be committees of Parliament, and that when somebody is nominated to be a Chief Justice, this Parliament must give approval, and the internal processes of this Parliament is to refer that nomination to the committee to do what we popularly call vetting, and then present a report to us for us to consider and then approve. So a referral has been made to the committee. You are saying that there is litigation in the court regarding the propriety of the processes relating to the removal of the Chief Justice, the previous Chief Justice. And because there is litigation regarding the processes leading to the removal of the previous Chief Justice, this Parliament should not consider a nomination brought to this Parliament, a nomination which the Speaker has accepted and which he has referred to a committee for the committee to process. And I once again draw your attention to the fact that the same Supreme Court has said that in matters that are primarily the responsibility of Parliament, once Parliament starts dealing with those matters, no one anywhere can stop Parliament from dealing with those matters until Parliament has completed the process of dealing with that matter.
Now, is the stage set for Monday's vetting? Well, Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante joins me in the studio with just a breakdown of that. Kweku, how was this resolved?
So we first heard from Roxy Nelson Dafamekpo, who countered also what the minority leader had said, insisting that whatever it is that happens, the vetting is going to happen. Listen to Dafamekpo on the floor before we get to the Speaker's ruling.
He's wasting our time. So if he intends, Mr. Speaker, if the minority leader intends to raise an issue arising out of the business statement,
if you don't want to listen, others are mindful of listening.
It should do so. It should stop bringing in the vetting, the scheduled vetting of the CJ on Monday, because that one, it will happen. This House will perform its constitutional rights and duties. The Supreme Court has already settled that
Majority will be brief.
A mere filing of a case. In other case, Mr. Speaker, the matter before the court is a certiorari application.
Majority whip. Be brief.
It's a certiorari application.
Honorable Majority Whip, be brief.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I'm being brief. But let us settle the matters on the law. The application before the court is a certiorari application. There is no injunction application before the court. It is an application of certiorari seeking the Parliament, the court should prevent Parliament from performing its constitutional rights. And that application will be heard at a definitive date. But in the meantime, the Supreme Court says Parliament must continue to perform its constitutional rights. So that matter, the minority leader shouldn't go there. It is settled.
So, Kweku, how did the Speaker rule?
Well, Adabraka, in fact, at the time all this was happening, he was not in the chair. He came in quite later and decided to make a determination. Ostensibly,
there is no constitutional.
He's overruled the points that the minority have made, and he says there's no basis for those points. The vetting is now expected to happen next Monday.
There is no constitutional or standing order basis for Parliament to hold the process simply because there are pending cases in court. Should I accept that argument, it will mean that any litigant could hold Parliament hostage, that is, file a case and freeze the work of Parliament and its committees. The motion is inadmissible. And same has been returned to the sponsor, the minority leader, Honorable Alexander Efenyo-Markin, as stated clearly by outstanding orders.
Well, let's stay in Parliament because Vice Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, Davis Opoku-Ansah, has taken on Member of Parliament for Gumwa Central, Kwame Asare-Obeng, popularly known as Kwame A+, over his petition for the committee chairperson to be removed. The MP, in the petition to the Speaker, argued that Abna-Ose Asare must be removed from the Public Accounts Committee sitting because of her role as Deputy Finance Minister under the previous administration. Reacting to the call, Impreso MP and Vice Chairman of the PAC, Davis Opoku-Ansah, first insisted that the chairperson stay on the committee does not violate any provision of the House.
The chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, as a member of Parliament who does not belong to the ruling government. But just recently, we changed the standing orders of Parliament. The chairman of the Public Accounts Committee still remains a member of the party, other than the party that has formed government. But however, if the report that is before the House concerns issues that happened during, let's say, the erstwhile administration, and the member who is chairing was part of that government or was part of the party that formed that government, that person steps aside for the ranking member to preside over everything that is happening or the sittings, so that there is not partiality. We take away issues of favoritism and all of that. And that is what we have done in this session. In fact, this is the first time that thing has applied. I mean, hitherto, it was just a straitjacket. Once you belong to the opposition, you chair all sittings of PAC. But this time, we have seen a difference, and that is why somebody like my senior Atamil Samuel chaired this session. And so, I mean, it's important that if you're a member of Parliament, you get to appreciate what our standing orders says. 2, what the Public Accounts Committee does is not to deal with individuals. In fact, we even don't deal with governments. And that is why we always say that government is a continuum. So we deal with the institutions of state and how we are able to remedy some of the infractions that we continue to see in the audit report. And so if something happened during, let's say, the MPP administration, and even Abena or myself was a CEO for that matter, I still have a duty as a member of Parliament to scrutinize that report. And you see, in many instances, if you have monitored how Abena operates, she declares her interest in a particular matter. For that matter, she would not want to. For instance, today, SNIT was before the House. Abena served on the board of SNIT. And so she decided that she's not going to ask any question that pertains to SNIT. And I think that that is the fairness that she's brought on board.
Well, let's stay on the Public Accounts Committee because the chairperson, Abna-Ose Asare, has given assurance that all matters referred to the Attorney General and Auditor General, I beg your pardon, will be prosecuted. She made the remark as the committee concludes its work and sitting in Accra for this year.
I speak to you now, I can confidently say that we have made 3 referrals officially to the Attorney General. We are going to put that in our reports, and we know that we're going to send it to the floor of Parliament, and Parliament is going to confirm these recommendations. And we're working with the AGs to make sure he also does the needful, as we all try as much as possible to help. I don't see these things as sanctions, but we are helping everybody who has been put in one position or the other and to effectively carry out his or her mandate. And that is how I see it. So as I speak to you, we have officially referred 3 infractions to the Attorney General for prosecution.
Away from that, lawyer for Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, Cephas Boyo, has rejected what he describes as unfounded claims by the Office of the Special Prosecutor that the company was being used as a proxy for political patronage and illicit enrichment. Addressing a packed press conference in Accra, Mr. Boyo insisted that there is no evidence linking SML or its owners to any political figure, describing the OSP's suggestion as, quote, a speculative stretch of imagination, unquote. The following report has more.
The lead counsel for Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, Cephas Boyo, challenged the OSP's claim that the company was being used as a proxy for political patronage or illicit enrichment, saying there is no evidential basis for such a charge and pointing to business records that show SML's owner has long-standing independent commercial operations.
We said the need for SML's contribution in revenue assurance was necessitated by Mr. Eduse's reading of the Auditor General's report between 2012 and 2016. So if somebody says that there is no need, please just refer the person to the Auditor General's report from 2012 to 2016. The need assessment were done there. The need for the service that Mr. Eduse rendered the country is in there. And all these reports were laid in Parliament. You can fact check that. Of course, we all know that all these reports annually goes to Parliament. Check them out and see whether the need wasn't there.
Cephas Boyo also refuted the OSP's accusation that SML had received substantial payments without performing any verifiable work.
And this allegation has whipped up some sort of sentiments, as though Mr. Eduse just sat at home, he's crossed his legs, sipping on tea. He's not doing any work for government and just collecting money. And, the company was just used to siphon money from government. That is not true. And we are going to show you documentary evidence. And I'll borrow Sami Jemfi's words that, this is, the presentation is, we are showing you evidence, Now, the allegation. OSP alleged that SML did not provide any service to GRA, yet was paid huge sums of money. This can be verified by official correspondence from the Ghana Revenue Authority itself. You see, we don't need to do this to our institutions. One person cannot sit in Ghana Revenue Authority and dole out money and give it to someone. No, it can never happen. It goes through a lot of processes. When you send reports, they will definitely they will verify, they will validate, they would, certify and all that before you are paid. It doesn't, when you throw it in there like that, they didn't do anything. SML didn't do anything and they're just being paid money. The ordinary Ghanaian sitting there, of course, will be angry.
A lawyer for SML, among other things, argued that the SML contract required no parliamentary approval under Ghana's Public Financial Management Act and asked why the OSP seemed obsessed with this one company when dozens of similar contracts have sailed through unchallenged.
Let's shift our attention now to the Labour Front. Tonight, leadership of the Senior Staff Association of the University of Ghana is refuting allegations from a breakaway group claiming organized labor negotiated the 2026 base pay without their consent. Leadership describes the claims as misleading and meant to create confusion among public sector workers. The disputed statement was signed by 9 individuals, including 4 members of the Senior Staff Association of the University of Ghana, among them the immediate past president and some members of the Teachers and Educational Workers Union Ghana. It comes as base pay negotiations wobble following a coalition of unions from 9 education and university sectors rejects government's 6% proposal, describing it as unacceptable and unreflective of current economic hardship. Isaac Donko is a former national president of the Senior Staff Association of the University of Ghana.
Mass majority who has been shortchanged to our view by our own organized labor leadership. It's a shame, and they've demonstrated that they don't care indeed. And they have a track record of what we are saying. This kind of negotiation, looking at the current economic conditions and the attitude of government, depending on the just ended negotiations somewhere in March this year, government has never been truthful to us. So members should have started this negotiation with 50% at least demand on government. This is our position. But what happened? They started with 20%. Then 20%, they didn't even stay there. They reduced that 20% to 15%. And government also gave counter proposal of 2.5%. In this current economic hardship, 2.5% counter proposal. Then later government also moved to 5%. Yesterday they met again. Deviously they met again, and government reviewed its position to 6%. So we've been shortchanged.
Well, National President of the Senior Staff Association of the University of Ghana, George Ansong, joins us live here on JoyNews Prime with more on this. We appreciate your time. Now, we've just been hearing from some of your members. You heard Isaac there alleging that leadership is shortchanging members and you're in bed with government. How do you respond to these claims?
This is laughable. This is laughable because if Chairman Isaac is claiming that we have shortchanged them, I took over from him. Ask him. Does it mean that when he was there and the base pay was being negotiated, he also went to take something? We don't do things like this. If you are individuals and you are not happy and you want to express your displeasure, don't bring in the name of the union. You have been a national chairman before, and you have been in my place before. When you were the national chairman, did anybody attack you or anybody for negotiating the base pay? No. So I don't know where this is coming from.
He raises concerns, really.
If
you allow me,
who are doing their own thing.
If you allow me, he raises concerns that
please.
Leadership failed to consult with team members because their initial proposal was a 50% increment. But he alleges that leadership went into the negotiation table with just 20% and government did a counter offer of 2.5% and then increased it to 6%. Did you consult your members before going to the negotiation table?
My sister, we have no senior staff has not had any meeting where we said we wanted 50%. Never. So that one is untrue. And this base pay negotiation is not done by one union. It's all unions that meet. And when we meet, there is a leadership, which is led by the TUC General Secretary and the Organized Labor Chairman. They lead it. So if you say that there was some 50%, where did we meet to say that we want 50%? And then we have gone to say we want 20%. There are rules of engagement in any negotiation. So we met the first day. Labor put their demand on the table. Government gave its side. There was no agreement. So we rescheduled the meeting. And I think 3 days ago, there was another meeting. I wasn't even there. I couldn't go. And today too, I'm not in Accra. I've lost my uncle. I have to go for a funeral. So whatever happened today, I'm yet to even get the news. So for you to say that somebody has gone to take something and we said 50%, it is untrue, my sister. The fact is that it is individuals who have grouped themselves, and because some of them belong to my union, they are using the name of the union. The union has not sanctioned anybody to issue any press release. It is their own individual thing.
They also say that they're going to hit the streets to demonstrate, and in fact, they're going ahead to notify the police. But negotiation is still ongoing, is it not? How do you plan to deal with this?
Well, it's their own cup of tea. As I said, the union has no hand in it. So if they want to go ahead and do anything, they shouldn't bring in the name of the union. The union has not sanctioned anything because we are doing negotiation. We have not concluded. So I don't see why people will come out and be saying what they are saying.
But
so if they want to do their demonstration, it's up to them.
Government is proposing 6%. You're still on the negotiation table. Would you accept that amount?
As a person or as a group?
As a group.
As a group, you see, we, the senior staff alone, cannot say we accept or we reject. We are part of a bigger body. So if all of us have met, and that is the agreement, why can you say that you sit in a meeting to agree to something and then you come out to say, I do not agree? As I'm saying, that meeting I could not attend. So I'm in Kumasi. They are still having the meeting. I've not heard anything from Accra.
Thank you so much for your time. Let me bring in Chairman of the Senior Staff Association of the University of Ghana, the Kolebu branch, Haruna Rafiq, who is part of the group that is pushing for this. And they have signaled their next line of action is to hit the street to register their displeasure. You've heard from the national president who is really unhappy with your statement. Did you consult him?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would want to say a very good evening to your cherished viewers and listeners. So I didn't know this is going to be the subject, but however, we'll manage to deal with it. My national chairman has spoken, and it is true. The letters or the press releases that were sent out by individual locals. So if you check, you would find Unimark, you will find University of Ghana, Legon main campus, the vice chairman. You will find my humble good self signing for Kolebu. We did not sign and we did not present ourselves as the national SSA union. Aside the national union, the locals also operate as locals. However, it is not only a matter of senior staff associations, universities of Ghana. As you rightly said, there's tertiary education, and then there's still DH. There's also producer. There's also innovative teachers. All these groups have been listed. So it is not an entirely senior staff thing. So this is why we call ourselves the concerned, members of the organized labor, because by virtue of the fact that we are a union, we all belong to the organized labor. But we are concerned about development. And I wish that this discussion would be concentrated on what we are asking for. And as for our national chairman, yes, that is what he has said. He never sanctioned the locals to do that, but the locals did that on their own local accord. So basically, that is it. And as for the issue I overheard, the issue of the 50%, it is erroneous to create the impression that anyone said. None of our press releases indicated that there was a meeting that said 50% should be.
Well, it's imperative I inform you that Isaac Donko granted an interview to Joy FM on their midday bulletin, and he said that the expectation was 50%, but leadership went on to the negotiation table with 20%. It brings me to my next question, really. Negotiation is still ongoing. Why decide to break away and hit the streets, knowing fully well that leadership haven't concluded with government yet?
So thank you very much. I still want to make a clarification on the 50% issue. It is erroneous to create the impression that I listened to Chairman Isaac Donko. If he said that is the expectation, that is the expectation of the concerned labor unions. Because if you recall this year, labor went into negotiations with a 60% demand on government. We ended up getting just 10%. So we are saying as concerned labor unions that starting with 20% from organized labor was a no, that they shouldn't have started from there. Because if you went asking for doing base pay negotiations and you asked for 60% and you ended up getting 10%, then if you are asking for 20%, you can imagine how low it will be. So we are not surprised that government looked workers in the face and was also proposing 2.5%. And that is where we also say again that my national chairman is aware that the leadership of organized labor never had any meeting with all the unions, including his union, Senior Staff Association. They never had an encounter or an engagement ahead of the meeting. And that is not supposed to be the case. When there's negotiations going on, it is all the unions who are invited. So leadership is supposed to call a meeting of all the unions for them to make their inputs. And it is based on this input that leadership is supposed to present But this leadership never consulted my chairman, my national chairman, which is one of the reasons why some of us are not very happy, because you are going to negotiate on our behalf and you must take our input. And I'm happy you asked our national chairman that question, whether we consulted our members, whether we took a mandate from them, because we are representing the people. So if we are representing the people, we should be able to represent them well. Our inputs must be taken before it is tabled. Now we have committed all Ghanaian workers to a certain 20%. As it stands, this evening, they just concluded the last meeting, the third meeting, and government is offering 8%, and labor has come down from 15% to 12%. That is the current status. And this is what the Ghanaian worker is asking, that, look, we deserve a better deal. So for me, the issues have to be on the main, demands from the concerned unions.
But that's the concern. That's the concern of individuals watching tonight. Negotiations are still ongoing, yet you're threatening to hit the streets in clear defiance of your leadership.
It is because of the information that I gave earlier on, that when they were to start with the negotiation, they should have made other unions make inputs into whatever they are going to propose. So we realized at a point that it is just some few people at the top who were deciding for the rest of the unions. And that was the basis of our agitation. So if the negotiation is still ongoing, we understand. We have not said the negotiation should stall. All we are giving was, we were cautioning our leadership, leadership of organized labor, to make a better deal for its members. And I don't think it is wrong. Even take our unions out as individual Ghanaian workers. We have a right to also demand from our leadership to go and negotiate in good faith and negotiate well for the well-meaning of Ghana. Because we all know the argument the government is giving for making this...
Unfortunately, we have to go. But point well noted. We appreciate your time here on JoyNews Prime. You're still watching JoyNews Prime. We'll be back after this quick turn. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us here on JoyNews Prime. Now, residents and business owners in Adabraka and nearby communities in Accra are demanding urgent attention after floodwaters invaded homes and shops. Many blame the situation on poor and ineffective drainage systems that continue to worsen their plight each rainy season. JoyNews' Stephen Mensah has more in the following report.
Kwame is one of the many traders counting their losses after Friday morning's downpour. The main gutter is full, so the rainwater can't flow. The little that manages to pass through leaves us to scoop the rest for ourselves. If the rain had lasted any longer, we wouldn't even be able to stand here having this conversation. When the JoyNews team visited some of the worst-hit areas in Adabraka, gutters were overflowing and rainwater gushing through homes and shops. Residents say it's a familiar story, reflecting the city's poor drainage system, one that simply cannot handle the volume of rains.
Let's not delay. It should be done rapidly and quickly so that living around will be comfortable. So I'll suggest if there could be at least a little expansion, that the gutter be redone well to connect with the bigger one so that the drainage wouldn't be overflooding. It will help.
For Nana, who has lived here for nearly 2 decades, every rainfall comes with anxiety. She says the floods have become part of their lives, a trail of sleepless nights, damaged property, and endless cleanup.
Government too can help by giving, or putting dustbins at every junction whereby we can put, rubbish in.
With flash floods now a common sight, residents fear it's only a matter of time before tragedy strikes at its worst. They are calling on city authorities to act urgently, saying the poor drainage system is a disaster waiting to happen.
A lot of people go out when it rains heavy. You see, people started going out because the gutter was full. When it had come up a little bit or it had rained a little bit in addition, people would have just moved out to the roadside. You would have met people standing by the roadside and stuff because the rain has entered their gutter. Sorry, their room rather. So it has to do with we, the individuals also, because if the government is doing 50% and the 50% left for us to do, we are not doing it. we are still going to go back to zero. So I'm going to plead every individual here that it's not only the government, we should also try to keep the environment clean.
Until urgent and sustained action is taken, residents and traders here may have to endure the trauma and toll of every rainfall. For Joy News, Stephen Mensah, Adabraka.
And up next is Showbiz. Stay with us.